Thank you very much for tuning in. Alright, so the whole point of this video is how my whole family's ostracizing me. They hate me, man. I'm some crazy conspiracy theorist or whatever. Alright, so they never said I was wrong, but they do certainly hold their opinions, and they talk trash about me behind my back. That I'm a terrible guy or whatever. I don't actually know what their argument is, but I know that I'm being ostracized from my own family. Right. So my father's side of the family, my father died, so, ever since that happened, I've been kind of the black sheep and everything like that. So I wasn't really part of the clique. But now it's starting to be very evident, right? So for example, my own aunt, my own cousin, my own, how should I say, great aunt, or whatever she is to me, Dr. Michelle Dow, right, blocked me on Facebook. Right? She's blocked me on Facebook. I'm asking her, why are you talking trash about me? I never did anything to you. I never stole money from you. I never, oh, right, I remember. I complained about how you killed my child, right? That's what I did wrong, right? I'm a terrible guy. I'm a terrible guy because I complained to the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Nova Scotia about how you used abortifacient birth controls. You duped, right? You deceived the woman that I was with to believe that the birth control pills prevents pregnancy, but it actually doesn't. And you deceived her into thinking that the number one, the implantation can start a pregnancy, and number two, that the birth control pills prevents pregnancy 100% of the time, which it doesn't. It actually does not. So the ovulation will occur, right? So the oocyte will exit. The oocyte will exit the ovary of a woman, right? And then who's that zygotic genome activation? It's 50% of mine, right? 50% of the DNA from the father, 50% of the DNA from the mother, right? So that's what I did wrong. I complained. That's what I did wrong. Okay, I'm a terrible guy for complaining how you killed my child. Okay, so then, yeah. So then it's perfectly fine that you talk trash about me behind my back and all this stuff. That's perfectly fine, right? So then the other one, all right, so there's our CMP officer, literally the police, right? The police's job in Canada, I tell you what it is, it's not to indict murderers. No, a murderess, walking free, that's perfectly fine. But murderess, calling her a murderess is an insult to murderesses, right? This is a serial murderess, right? There you go. Okay, in excess of 1,000. Let's not sugarcoat the whole thing. Let's not play theatrics and all this stuff. This lady killed in excess of 1,000 children, man. In excess of 1,000 children. Right? She's scary. This whole situation is scary. Anyway, so the RCMP officer, instead of indicting a murderess, right? No, he's going to plunder innocent motorists driving on the street, plunder them to generate revenue for the state. Oh, all right. And then, the other guy, he's just, a pirate, working for the government. All right. So listen to this. I'll give you an example. All right. So let's say, for example, you are fishing. You're an Acadian, right? You're Acadian, right? You're fishing, right? Some lobsters or whatever. Well, he says, no, at gunpoint. No, you can't be fishing lobsters, right? You can't be fishing lobster here. It's the end of November here. You can't be doing that unless you give the government $1 million. And everybody thinks that's perfectly not natural. No, I'm going to give the government $1 million to be able to fish in my own waters. And this guy, he's like, oh yeah, that's perfectly normal. To be able to extract an entire career's worth of revenue, right, income, right, if you will, to be a pirate, right, and say, listen, this is piracy. I mean, isn't this piracy? I don't know. Like, it seems to me like it's piracy. Like, why should I be? Let's say, for example, I wanted to fish some lobster in my own water. Right? This is the people. Right? Do you know what Canada means? Right? This is the people, not the government, not the land, the people. Okay, so this is my own water. Right, so no, it's not. Well, you see, it's the crown and all this stuff. Well, yeah, obviously. All right, so then they got, a member of my own family plundering, right, like a pirate, these innocent guys, to the point where they'd be like, okay, listen, I'm getting tired of this guy, at gunpoint, threatening my life. I'm just going to pay the government $1 million to be able to fish, and then, that problem will be. It's ridiculous, right? And I'm the bad one. I'm the bad one for complaining how these abortifacient birth control pills killed my child. I'm the bad one, right? So my whole family ostracized me. I'm the bad one, and yeah, no, that's just that's just the way it is. And oh no, you can't talk about religion and politics and all that stuff. And you're some crazy conspiracy theorist. I'm not crazy conspiracy. Thank you very much for explaining that to me. Listen, if I ever in any of these videos make a mistake, the first thing that I want you to do is to contact me. You just, all the comments are open and all this stuff. You can send me an email and all this stuff. I'm not hard to find, right? I'm not not like I'm trying to. So Dr. Michelle Dallas hiding herself, right? I cannot contact her. I literally can't even call her on the phone. I don't know phone number. What's her phone number? I tried to ask my own grandfather. We share the same grandfather. No, Dr. Michelle Dell said about 20 years ago that I can't, give her information. I said, I'm literally her family, right? I should be banned from talking to my own cousin here, my own great aunt or whatever she is to me. No. Your insistence is not going to work. I'm not going to give you her phone number. I was like, okay, well, whatever. And not a bad guy. I mean, my grandfather's all right, but man, if he were to truly understand the scope of everything, man, I think he'd be devastated. I don't actually think he does. I don't actually think he understands the seriousness of the issue here, which is probably why, he acts this way, and that's fine. I mean, there's no, and he's old, man. How old is he? Like 80, 85 plus, really getting close to 90. I don't know, man. My other grandmother's now 97. Actually, he should be getting up in the 90s. Anyway, all right, so can these older people truly comprehend it? Yes, they can. They could. But he's not a type of guy to concentrate very long for that kind of stuff. Especially not when the culpability is so evident against his own. This would be his daughter, right? Yeah, right, his daughter, right? So my grandfather's daughter, right? Right? Imagine how devastating that would be. Like my grandfather, like he probably loves his daughter. Like I'm a dad of a wonderful whole bunch of daughters. I love them so much. How would they? How would this my grandfather feel, right? If he would truly understand the scope of the situation, where my grandfather's daughter killed in excess of 1,000 people, right? What do you mean you kill in excess of 1,000 people? Let's make no mistake here, okay? Dr. Michel Dow killed in excess of 1,000 people, right? And these people, oh, they're just a blastocyst that failed to implant. That's not a person. You can try to dehumanize this baby all you want. At the end of the day, this is a baby boy or baby girl, right? No, it's not a baby until week, whatever, week 7, week 8, week 9. No. This is a baby, and Dr. Dow is responsible for the deaths. Let me say that again. In excess of 1,000. We made a whole video about that. How many victims, right? How many victims? In excess of 1,000 deaths. So if my grandfather would actually know. So, but I do believe the sons, so Dr. Michel that has a couple sons, right? Which would be like my extended family, right? How would they feel if they were to truly understand? Well, maybe they're liberals or whatever. Maybe that's the way they sleep at night. I can't imagine. Let's say for example, my mother were to kill that many people, right? I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Just like my own family did this, I can't sleep at night because I'm part of her extended family. What I'm trying to do here is try to separate myself as much as I can. I cannot be on the same side of history as that. No way. I'm not going to be on the same side. My whole family ostracizing me, that doesn't even bother me, right? I don't even care about that. What I care about is being on the correct side of history, right? On the correct side of the truth. Oh, quite scary. Quite a frightening situation here. Right, let's recap here. We get an RCMP officer, right? Not indicting murderers, right? A serial killer, right? A serial killer, and the reason that he's not indicting serial murderers is because the baby in the womb has less rights than a baby outside of the womb. Okay, makes perfect sense. Yeah, also the politicians have been bribed by the pharmaceutical industry to let any old kind of legislation in the door and let these abortifacients, birth control pills, just in our society, right? So that's the justification why my other family member, which is how many cousins do I have? Like RCMP members, like 3 or something like that. 1, 2, 3. they're like 3 cousins that are RCMP members or something like that, so some number like that, and all 3 of them have failed in indicting this murderess, right? And the other guy, he's a fisheries officer, right? So he's gonna, instead of fighting for the rights of the Acadian people to fish in their own waters, well, he's gonna be like, hey, no, you need to pay $1 million to be able to fish in your own waters. How perverse, man. But anyway, that's the way it is, right? They claim superiority. Well, no. I'm claiming superiority. Well, I got a not a 3 bedroom. I got more bedroom than that, but I got a 3-story house here. So these guys only have a 2-story house, right? So, but I have there's a basement, right? So I also have a basement and 3 stories, and on top of that, it's going to be a ceiling, which is going to be like 4 or 5 stories. But anyway, my house is bigger than theirs, so whatever. I'm claiming superiority. Plus, I have more children. Plus, I'm not a baby killer, right? And I didn't suck on the Queen of England's tit all my life, right? So I'm making a moral living, right? I'm earning my money morally, right? Not a government job, which is plundering the society and generating revenue for the state, right? So that's not what I do. Did you ever notice that governments, well, especially in Canada, I don't know, over where I'm not in Canada anymore, but over here it's okay. They provide actual tangible services. Some are kind of iffy, but did you ever notice that private companies perform actual services, tangible services that you're saying, hey, let's say for example a roof, the roofing guy, right? The roofing guy, right? So you pay money for this guy, he fixes your roof, and you're very happy because you got a roof, you don't have rain on your head, right? So that's a tangible service, right? A tangible product and a service, right? So the government doesn't actually provide a tangible product or service, right? And they always try to swindle you, right? There's some sort of snake oil salesman, a shyster, that's the word I'm looking for, right? Every time I had to deal with the government of Canada, there's some sort of shysting going on, right? So, but the whole point about the RCMP officers not indicting the murderess and generating revenue for the state. Oh, you're going too fast, right? You have to, pay the government $129.60, right? Because I was going too fast, right? Against this guy's say so. And if you go to court, you're going to miss a whole day of your time and all this stuff. But you can go to court, this bias court and all this stuff. Anyway, and then if you want to fish in your own waters, it's going to cost you $1 million, right? Let's just go down that rabbit hole just a little bit. Okay, let's say for example you want to provide for your family, you want to be a fisherman, you want to buy yourself a boat. Okay, you want to buy a boat and you want to go fishing to make some money. You want to sell some lobsters and all that stuff. Is there anything wrong with doing that? Well, okay, well there's the lobster population and all this stuff. Okay, I get that. Yeah, that's fine. The only part I don't actually get is the $1 million licensing fee, right? $1 million, right? I'm not even joking, right? It is $1 million, right? And most people don't even know that, right? They say, yeah, it's a lot of money for a license, but then the fishermen can make a good living and all. Okay, you see, yeah, they can make a good living, but $1 million, right? Right? That goes to the government for one fishing license, right? Imagine that, right? A $1 million, boom, cash, right? You have to pay the government $1 million, and my own family is responsible for that racket. 2 of my family members actually, but the other one's less as intrusive. But yeah, the one guy is really, he's what is it? It's a pirate. He's a pirate. My goodness gracious, it's a pirate. That's all it is, right? Rude, condescending, and everything that he says. I think the last time I told him, I had my daughter here today. Oh, congratulations. Being rude and condescending when I had my daughter, I was like, oh yeah, got my daughter. I don't know. Very condescending, right? So my whole family ostracized me, and so the whole point of that is you have to, if you're ready to fight for a cause, right? And you have to be willing that your whole family can ostracize you. My cause is that I don't want to be on the same side of history as those people, right? Killing 1,000 babies, right? Would you want to be on the same side of, just because you want to, be able to have a Christmas dinner and all that? Well, Christmas? What is Christmas, anyways? Yeah. I don't want to have Christmas dinners with baby killers, right? I really don't, right? So I'm going to look at they're going to be eating their Christmas dinners and all. Nice, nice food, man. Don't get me wrong, the food was really good. Very nice food, turkeys and everything like No, not on this side of the history. No way. I'm on the right side of history. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate your. If you are even here, I don't have very many views. But anyway, see ya. Bye bye.